All right, guys, I did want to go over these analytical predictions here for the college football bowl season. I should preface this by saying a lot of these are probably nonsense. I'll go through each one, talk about some opt-outs and things like that, because obviously the computer model does not understand opt-outs. It's basing it off of everyone being healthy, so we have to take that into account, and a lot of these picks I would not agree with. But we're just going to go through everything here for the bowl season, see if we agree on anything, see if there's any value of note. You've got the Army-Navy game, and I think, there's a big disagreement here. A lot of the professional bettors are actually in on Navy to win this game. They've gone to 2.5-point favorites. The line has completely trended in Navy's direction. If you take a look at Navy's last 4 games, it's been really good. And then, obviously the over-under is going to be coaxed all the way down to 32.5, 33, because, the last, 10 Army-Navy games have all gone under. They just don't score. So I would say, you would really be bucking a trend there if the over hits. Taking a look at the bowl season, Miami of Ohio versus UAB. I like UAB to cover. So does the model by 2 points. And they like the under. I think UAB, minus the 10.5, minus the 11 is the play there. UTSA versus Troy. I like UTSA to win this game. They have Troy winning, but there's really just not a lot of value you can see. Next, we have Cincinnati, Louisville. Really like the under in this game based on everything that's gone on between these two teams. Cincinnati losing Luke Fickell, losing Ben Bryant. You've got Louisville dealing with Malik Cunningham, his injury. They like Cincinnati to win this game outright, but again, they don't understand the situation surrounding Luke Fickell not being there. You've got Florida versus Oregon State. So this is another one. This can be completely thrown out of the window. When you look Florida, they're missing possibly their top 3 players. Anthony Richardson, they're missing their best offensive lineman. They're missing a former 5-star defensive tackle. They've all opted out. Washington State, Fresno State. They like Washington State. So again, Washington State is without 2 of their top receivers, and I really like Fresno State to win that game. But I will say there might be some actual value on the under that the model is picking up on. I'll agree with them on that. Maybe there's value on the under 55 because Washington State's not going to score a lot without their receivers. Rice versus Southern Miss. This is a good one. So really no opt-outs. Southern Miss is significantly better than Rice. I agree. They have Southern Miss winning by 12 points and easily covering. And they also have the over 46.5. I can buy that. 46.5, if Southern Miss gets into the 30s, I can see it. I'm not obsessed with that pick, though. SMU versus BYU. They're saying it's a pick-em. I think SMU was the favorites. Yeah, BYU's dealing with a quarterback injury. SMU, we know they don't have a good defense. Look at this. They have the overhitting when it's at 71.5. So, yeah, it's going to be a higher scoring game as long as BYU's quarterback plays. I would say there's value right now on SMU. North Texas, Boise State. They have North Texas covering. I would disagree with it, but they're not. It's not crazy value. They've just got them covering by 2 points. Marshall versus UConn. They love Marshall. I would agree, and I would also take the under as well. I think it's, again, look at this, 25-8. UConn's offense, they are not explosive at all. All of these models know it. And that's why you take a look at how good Marshall's defense has been. That's why you get a 25-8 type score. It is bold of them predicting a 2-point conversion. I'm kidding. That's not how they predict it, but they do have them scoring 8 points. Eastern Michigan, San Jose State. I think everyone loves Eastern Michigan in this game. They like the under. I would disagree with that. But really, it's just by 0.7 anyways. Liberty versus Toledo. This is another one where there's actual real-life context. You've got the Hugh Freeze situation. I don't think there's a lot of value on Liberty thinking about it, but I will say I'll agree with them. There is value on the under 53.5 in this game. There is value on that. This is pretty remarkable. So Western Kentucky, South Alabama, they've got South Alabama covering, And they're not even factoring in the Austin Reed situation. Western Kentucky's starting quarterback is in the portal. So that is remarkable that they still have South Alabama covering, and really South Alabama probably pretty good value. Also the under probably good value in that one. You've got Baylor and Air Force. I think Air Force covers the 6.5. It's just too much. They really don't have much of an opinion on it. They think Baylor covers barely. You've got Houston taking on Louisiana. I get Louisiana and Louisville confused. Louisiana taking on Houston, and I like Houston. They like Louisiana. I'm going to have to disagree with them. Wake Forest, Missouri. Yeah, so I think Missouri wins this game outright. And this line is not, it's almost a pick 'em at this point. A lot of people betting on Missouri right now. Wake Forest just has no run game and they have no defense. Missouri they can be a solid team. They can play a little bit. This is the Christmas Eve game. It's a Christmas miracle. Middle Tennessee taking on San Diego State, and I disagree with them. Well, San Diego State, this line has been juiced up a lot. I think it opened San Diego State -4, and it's up significantly. But I understand why it's up, and I agree. I love the under in this game. The under 49. They have it, the under hitting by a point. I think it hits pretty easily. When you talk about the vibe on Christmas Eve, the game, I think it's in Hawaii, but maybe there's some snow somehow mixed in there because it's Christmas Eve. You never know. You get a little snow flurries there. So it's going to be colder. It's, those kids, they don't want to play on Christmas Eve, guys. They're just going to want to get it over with. And it's going to be like 13-7. That's my prediction. New Mexico State taking on Bowling Green. And this is another situation where, I agree. I think Bowling Green is straight up a bad team. The issue is New Mexico State's starting quarterback is in the portal. So I would disregard their predictions on that. Georgia Southern versus Buffalo. Georgia Southern is a strong play in this game due to the quarterback situation. Their starting quarterback was formerly with Buffalo, so there's a revenge factor, and Buffalo really has not been good recently at all. You've got Memphis and Utah State. I agree completely. My goodness, they have Memphis winning by 20. Yeah, Utah State is horrible. That is something that the analytics do pick up on correctly. And they've got it at 44-24. That's a lot of points. But yeah, Memphis actually really inconsistent as well, but I think they cover that spread for sure. Coastal Carolina, East Carolina. You know what? As long as Grayson McCall plays, I'm starting to find some value, and I also do like the over in that game. I'm starting to find some value in Coastal Carolina. East Carolina was not good against Houston. They got crushed. You might be, 9.5 point favorites over a team that was like 10-2. I know Coastal Carolina had a bad schedule. I get it, but I don't know. There seems to be value on Coastal there. You've got Wisconsin 3-point favorites. Yeah, I would not, this is not, they don't know. Oklahoma State dealing with transfer portal. They've not been good. Wisconsin has the motivation with the new coach. Disregard that. UCF and Duke. I like UCF to win this game outright as long as Plumlee plays their starting quarterback. And they've got the under 61.5. You know what? There might be some value in that. I would have to look into it. Arkansas and Kansas, they like the over. I agree with that, but the over-under in this game has gotten bet up, I think, to 70. And they do like Arkansas, so that doesn't surprise me. Kansas's defensive metrics are horrifically bad, so they have them winning 40-31. Yeah, no, it does make sense. My only thing with Kansas is they're going to be so motivated, but I think Arkansas has to be the right pick. Arkansas is substantially better than Kansas. They just are. You've got Oregon, 10.5 point favorites. That line has jumped all the way to 13, I think, against North Carolina. Yeah, so 13 is a lot. I would say take the under. I think, North Carolina's offense has just not been good enough for me. 44-30, I just don't see that, man. I don't know. That's a lot of points. Ole Miss and Texas Tech, I agree. So I know Ole Miss has really finished the season badly, but they're just better than Texas Tech, and they're going to be playing. Jackson Dart is playing. The running back, the true freshman's going to be playing. I think Ole Miss -3.5, -4 is not a hard task to cover against a Texas Tech team that can't play defense. Minnesota, Syracuse, they really like Minnesota. See, that's interesting. So they have Minnesota winning this game by 14 points, and I think Minnesota's way better than Syracuse. I agree. I like the under in this game as well. It's the Pinstripe Bowl. It's going to be colder. It is interesting to look at something like Minnesota minus the 7 in that one. We've got Oklahoma taking on Florida State, and they like Oklahoma to win the game outright. So they have Oklahoma winning the game outright. I'm guessing that is a glitch. FSU has really played well, and they've done a lot of the things you would think the metrics would like. They've had a really good game control, so I'm not understanding that prediction by a model. I don't know if that's right. I don't think that's right. Texas versus Washington. You have Texas sitting -4. Wow, they have Texas covered. So yeah, Texas is around 6-point favorites right now, and they like the under. The over/under at 66.5. Guys, I've seen other models that think Washington wins this game outright by 7 points, and that's without factoring in Bijan Robinson probably being out. I'm just saying I've seen models where they like that. You have Maryland, NC State. I think NC State wins this game, and I like the over-under is only 45. That is not a high number. So, no, I do like NC State. I'm just not sold. Maryland seems like a Ponzi scheme to me. I don't know. I don't like them. Pittsburgh taking on UCLA. We love UCLA to cover, guys. Chip Kelly. This is the exact type of game in the Sun Bowl. Chip Kelly, DTR. They're going to go crazy. They're going to score 50 points. Notre Dame and South Carolina. And they have South Carolina winning this game outright. Wow. So South Carolina, you know what? I do respect it. I understand, South Carolina playing better. They've won some crazy games late in the season. But, I'm probably not going to. You know what? I might take the over in that game. We'll have to see. Ohio versus Wyoming. Completely disagree with this. Take the under in this game. I don't know. They're factoring in Ohio's offense with their starting quarterback. He is out. And Ohio is not -3. I would take Wyoming +3, but they're not +3. I think this game's like a pick'em. Ohio's offense is not good right now with the quarterback injury. Clemson, Tennessee, this has to be totally disregarded. Tennessee dealing with the QB injury to Hendon Hooker. The model doesn't realize that. It has to be just not looked at. Alabama, Kansas State has to be totally disregarded. The model doesn't understand that Bryce Young is not going to be playing. Will Anderson very likely won't be playing. So, what is that line at? 3.5? Oh, it's at 6? I thought that was at 3.5. Maybe I think it went down to 3.5. Iowa and Kentucky. So, yeah, guys, really? Oh, you got to be kidding me. So the over-under at 31.5, and they've got the under hitting by 6 points, and they've got a 13-13 tie. Isn't it amazing? Guys, I think you're threading a needle with an over-under that low. You're really against it. News did come out that Will Levis is not playing, so maybe you might want to go in on the under, but it is a tough under to go in on. You've got the TCU-Michigan game. They've got Michigan winning 32-23. Yeah, so that's pretty standard. They like the under in that one. I could see more points scored personally. Ohio State, Georgia. They have Georgia winning this game 29-24. I completely disagree. I think there's going to be significantly more points. I like the over in this game, actually. The over 61.5. And they have Ohio State covering by a point. Mississippi State, Illinois. They like Illinois, but barely. They love the under. I can see the under hitting if Illinois really controls that game for sure. LSU, Purdue. LSU is trending heavily in this game. When LSU was -7, I loved LSU. Now that they're -10.5, it's a little bit tougher. Of course, the news coming out, Purdue's head coach taking the Louisville coaching job. So they're going to be a big favorite in that one for sure. That's the Citrus Bowl. And then you have Tulane versus USC. They have USC as 1.5 point favorites. Really no value in that one. And then they do have Penn State winning this game outright. But it's not real drastic in that one. So there is a little bit of value you can take from this, I would say. Not a ton. because they really don't understand a lot of these opt-out situations. I think Memphis covering is something that a lot of people like for sure. Other games to look at, maybe Marshall covering the 10, the under in that Marshall-UConn game, if you trust their defense. A lot of these are just going to be void just because of the opt-out situations. The Army-Navy game, I would say a lot of the money is on Navy to win the game outright and the under to hit, just because the precedent of it always hits. So that is the bowl situation when it comes to these ratings, and it's nothing against the ratings. It's really just the unfortunate situation dealing with college football and dealing with all these opt-outs, these kids, not playing. Also Notre Dame, possibly, they'll definitely be without Michael Mayer, their top tight end, one of the top tight ends in the country. So that might affect that line as well against South Carolina. So guys, we will see with all the opt-outs and things like that, but that's going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description. I'm, of course, the Depressed Ginger. Thank you for watching.